Hello, and welcome to Learn, Make, Learn, where we share qualitative and quantitative perspectives on products to help you make better. My name is Ernest Kim, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Joachim Groger. Hey, Joachim, how's it going?
I am disorientated because we're recording on a Monday. And
right.
I'm just, what's going on? This is not how the week normally begins. So this is actually a really nice way to start the week with a recording and a conversation. Other than that, I'm doing all right. How about you?
I also feel a little disoriented in that I think this is the first time in months that we've recorded episodes in back-to-back weeks.
Yes, also true. Yes.
Yeah. But it's exciting. It means we've got some good things to talk about. And speaking of which, this is episode 31. And today we have an interview episode that I think we're both really excited about. We are talking to Parisa Tashakori and Jeff Gillette, the co-directors of a new one-year master's level graduate program called the Brand Studios at the University of Colorado Boulder. As Parisa and Jeff describe it, there are two sides to the branding coin: design and advertising. So this unique new program is comprised of two tracks: the design studio led by Parisa and the ad studio led by Jeff. Over the course of our conversation, we'll get to know Parisa and Jeff, dive into those two tracks of design and advertising, discuss what makes the program unique, as well as the types of students that it can uniquely benefit, and of course, we'll discuss AI, the role it plays in the program, as well as Parisa and Jeff's perspectives on how it might influence their respective fields in the years ahead. We've touched on design and advertising in many of our previous episodes, and our interview with UX designer Nate Grubbs continues to be one of our most downloaded conversations. So we think this topic and conversation are going to be relevant and interesting to a lot of you out there. But before we dive into that, I want to emphasize that we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts, questions, or corrections you'd like to share, please send them our way at learnmakelearn@gmail.com or on Threads at LearnMakeLearnShow, all one word. And who knows, as we did in our last episode with Zoran Svetlicic, we may bring you on as a guest. So don't be shy with your feedback. All right, now just one last bit of business before we get to our interview, and that's follow-ups. Joachim, do you have any follow-ups to our previous episode with Zoran or any episodes prior?
I do actually. So a good friend of mine, my old college friend, Matthias, who is also a listener. Thank you for listening, Matthias. He immediately sent me a message about a coffee chain called Lap. And so they're really called The Lap Coffee, LAP. LAP is an acronym for Life Among People. I don't know. Thinking about how Zoran was so dismissive of Starbucks' tagline and their branding. What was it? Infinite human connection or something like that. It's a little cringy. But so Lap Coffee is a European coffee chain based out of Berlin. So kind of a cool, trendy town. And you would think Lap Coffee is third wave, but European style, Berlin style. But no. They are actually an even more stripped down coffee space. They have about 15 locations in Berlin, 4 in Munich, and they keep expanding. They're going to go into Hamburg, which is close to my hometown. And they're kind of, I'll call it more American. They're VC backed. They're about scaling and they're about efficiencies. And the crazy thing is, they're trying to get into McDonald's McCafe territory. They're trying to do third wave coffee at a price point that competes with McDonald's, and they're trying to locate themselves in, high foot traffic spaces, subway stations, train stations, places like that. They don't have vibes. They don't care about vibes. They just want the smallest amount of space, the most efficient coffee making they can do, and as much automation as they want. Here are the prices, and I think this is where you'll see how this works. So an espresso costs €1.50, which is about $1.75. And it's not just, they're trying to get good beans as well into the shop. So that's a drinkable espresso, I'll call it, not like a dark roast with, no character. So they're trying to hit that third wave note with a coffee quality, but the price point is nuts, like $1.75. I mean, in Portland, you couldn't get an espresso for that. Right. Plus tip, it all goes. And so Americanos are €2, lattes are €3. If you want an alternative milk or ice, it's all free. So it's pretty crazy. So they're going in a totally different direction. Minimize their footprint, super scale efficient, keep the quality high and the price is low, and they're going aggressively against the low price point. Really interesting from that perspective, and therefore also kind of drawing a lot of criticism because they're hyperscaling and they're trying to but Europeans, we don't like this American way of doing business. So it's coming in. That there's some fears about what they're bringing to coffee culture in Berlin. Are they shifting things in the wrong direction? Is this going to squeeze everyone? Because they're actually going the other way. They're really squeezing,
right?
And they can do this, and this expansion is financed by the VCs. So the question also is there actually margin in that $1.75 espresso, or is it just that you're kind of like subsidizing right now, and your plan is to annihilate the competition, take over all the spaces, and then you'll bring us back to the $4 espresso? I mean, it's not clear. The financials are not clear to me, but it's an interesting counterpoint. So someone is trying to go down the Walmart route with the quality of coffee that a third wave coffee shop will be bringing to you. And of all places, it's happening in Europe, which is really surprising. And of all cities, it's Berlin. Again, to me, always surprising, but maybe not. It's also, Berlin's a bit of a tech hub, and they've been attracting expatriates for a long time. And why not give it a try? I mean, $1.75 for an espresso, and it's a good espresso. That's kind of crazy. I don't know.
I think, it's so interesting. It brings to mind that Jeff Bezos-ism that you've cited a few times of your margin is my opportunity.
Yes.
In a couple of ways, directly the margin, but also just the aspects of the third wave coffee experience that maybe not everyone needs. Yes. And not every time they have a coffee, right? So it does feel like there's untapped opportunity in people who want the quality and the flavor without all the other things, want it quickly and at an accessible price. So it's so interesting. Thanks for highlighting that. And this is a friend of yours as well that's doing this.
Yes, it was Matthias Hipping, full name. Here we go. But yeah, he's based in London. So he is also, this is a slight tangent, but coffee culture in London came from Australia and New Zealand. So third wave coffee came from those people. So everyone was educated in the UK by Aussies and Kiwis who were bringing their flat whites and all of that stuff. So the UK has a lot of those influences. And then, of course, those people will be traveling across Europe. And then, so LAP is trying to bring that wave of coffee at a low price point. So when people talk about their coffee snobs, I think a lot of the people are like coming from Melbourne and bringing that culture to the low price point. So a little bit different than the third wave in America and the States.
Right.
But the snobbery is kind of the same.
Oh, that's a great follow-up. I have less of a follow-up and more of what I guess would be a pre-up, which is that I'm going to be presenting at Creative Mornings in Portland, Oregon on Friday, December 12th. I actually hadn't ever heard of Creative Mornings until my friend and fellow co-founder at 37 Signals, Jason Fried, referred me to them. I've since come to learn that the group was started in New York back in 2008 by Tina Roth Eisenberg, and I'm quoting their site now. It was created out of a desire for an ongoing, accessible event for New York's creative community. The concept was simple: breakfast and a short talk one Friday morning a month. Every event would be free of charge and open to anyone, unquote. Well, the great thing is that Creative Mornings has been going strong ever since then and has now expanded out to over 250 cities around the world, including Portland. And the talks are still all free and all still open to anyone. As I understand it, for a given month, every Creative Mornings presenter is given the same theme. For example, the theme for this month, November, is growth, whereas the theme for December, when I'll be presenting, is innovation. The details from my talk won't be posted to the Creative Mornings website until after this month's presentation in a couple of weeks, but we'll include a direct link in the show notes to the Creative Mornings Portland page for anyone in town who might be interested in joining on December 12th. It'd be great to meet up with listeners after the event, so please do say hello afterwards if you're there. All right, now let's jump back to our main topic for this episode, which is our interview with Parisa Tashakori and Jeff Gillette, the co-directors of the Brand Studios at the University of Colorado Boulder. Parisa and Jeff, thanks so much for joining us on Learn, Make, Learn.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, I'm so excited for this conversation.
How about we start with some quick introductions? And, since we have you both here, rather than having us introduce you, I think you'll probably both do a much better job of it yourselves. Parisa, how about we start with you? Can you tell us about yourself and your background, particularly in the context of this new program?
Yes, for sure. I'm originally from Iran and moved to US in 2017, and I have been a visual designer and worked on two most prestigious advertising agencies when I was in Iran, like in Vijay and like Jarvag, and then I opened my studio that I focused more on like cultural and social events and projects from 2008 to 2016 before I moved to the US. And my connection to this program started from 2019 when I met the former director, David Sladen, and he invited me to teach visual design and brand design classes. And then on 2022, he asked me to become like the associate director. And later, when it was the time for him to be retired, he asked me to take the directorship of the program in 2023. And from the historical part of the program during last 13 years till this year, it was the main focus was actually like user experience and brand design in our program. I'll pass that to Jeff.
Yeah, and I've been in the ad business for a real long time, about 20-ish years. Started out at Crispin Porter Bogusky way back in 2004-ish. And then went from there to Google, where I helped start the Google Creative Lab, which is a super fun time, very early days of the program. And then went to Wieden Kennedy for about 6 years, where I met you, Ernest. And we got to work on Coca-Cola and a bunch of other fun stuff. And then from there, I bounced over to Goodby Silverstein and then back over to Colorado, where I've been an executive creative for a while. And then 2-3 years ago, got bit by the teaching bug, started teaching on the side, and then I met Parisa and the team over at CU. Loved the team, loved the atmosphere, loved the moment in time in which we're in, and where I think education can really have a huge impact. So I took the full-time plunge, became a professor about 2 years ago. And then I worked with Parisa and our chair of the department and a few others to help figure out ways that we could bring, especially creative advertising, to a higher level. And we've redesigned the undergraduate program, and now we are adding to Parisa's UX UI design program and establishing a creative advertising track alongside of it. And in doing that, we're kind of recreating a new umbrella program for what it's become.
It's interesting, Parisa and Jeff, you've actually had the inverse of Joachim's journey. He was in academia and then moved over into industry. How has that been for you both, making that move from the agency side for both of you and then into academia?
Actually, I was always connected to academia. When I finished my master degree, the former program director of our university, he asked me to teach one course for packaging design. And from that time, I just taught classes every single semester. I taught just one class when I was in Iran. I also had the opportunity to teach internationally for different workshops in countries like Mexico, Peru, Bolivia, France, and different countries, to work with international students. But being a full-time professor, it's a little bit different because it's like a more than full-time job, because it's a lot of work. And I mean, I was a 80% designer, 20% academia. Now I think I switched that ratio, but I still do practice design, visual design, and also like artistic part of that design, that I really like it, to bring like real examples and the engagement to my students at CU.
Jeff, you were nodding pretty vigorously when Parisa was talking about the workload.
Yeah, especially it's more than 100% job, right? I mean, I think every teacher everywhere probably identifies with that. And I came to teaching very late. I was in the industry for a really long time. I got my master's at VCU Brand Center and saw what those professors were doing and was super impressed. And they definitely changed the course of my career. But I didn't really teach a class until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And once I did, I understood why teachers do what they do. Like it's an amazing moment when you can break through and a student learns something for the first time that they didn't know was out there, or didn't have quite a grasp of before, you got a chance to open them up to it. So as soon as I started, I was kind of hooked. And then, when the full-time opportunity came up, I jumped fully in. And like Parisa said, it is an all-consuming career in a great way. Like it's amazing, and the students will blossom if you give them the time, but often that means being available, right? All the time outside of classes.
Honestly, I thought maybe university is less work, less intense, because I was tired of just being awake sometimes until like midnight, and then even like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but I'm still doing that.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I think the hours are definitely different. Like I can switch it off on the weekends, and obviously during summer we can to certain degrees go away, travel, and not have the burden of like, that next deadline right on top of you. But it's still in your thoughts all the time, every day, right? Just like during the career.
Joachim, does this make you feel nostalgic at all for your teaching days?
Well, the workload thing is a good point. You're not necessarily at your desk, or there's some messages coming in and everyone needs you to respond to it, but you are turning things over in your head all the time.
Yep.
And you're always stumbling on another way of presenting something or thinking about something. And as you were saying, Jeff, it's this opportunity that you don't get very often, which is mold and shape, and beyond that, actually just create a safe environment for them to explore ideas, right? And that responsibility is pretty serious. So that, I think that weighs on you. Like, that's why you guys are still working long hours, because you're thinking there's real people at the end of this, and they are in a very sensitive position where they're still in that learning mode, which means that they are very vulnerable because they're trying to open up their minds to things, and you want to create the right environment. And if you say the wrong thing in this moment, like, oh, that wasn't very good, you'd be like, oh no, this could be the phrase that blows everything up in their head and they'll never let go. So I think that I remember that, and I miss it. I do miss that. It is a wonderful thing.
It's so true. The word responsibility, like you do feel it in the classroom. Like every time you go in, you're like, okay, I need to be at my best, or I'm not making it worthwhile for this group of students. And it's not like you go into a boardroom and you're like, okay, we have to be on and sell this campaign to this professional. Yeah, that has consequences as well. But these are people's lives at a moment which really matters to them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
Now, I shared a very high-level overview of your the Brand Studios program in the intro, but I'd love to give you both an opportunity to discuss it in greater detail. First, what is it? And also, why did you create it? And, feel free, either of you, to jump in.
Jeff, this is your time now.
I can start. What is it? Okay. It's, when I reduce it down to its simplest, I like to call it a graduate school for human creativity, right? And I think obviously that's an idea that's been shaped in the last little bit because of AI and everything that's going on. But what we want to do is invest in young people's creative spirits and their creative points of view, in their self-expression. And you want to take on students who really have a very clear idea of what they want to do, what they want to create. And we want to bring them into what you were describing before, like this safe atmosphere where they can experiment and really find out what their voice is. And along the way, learn the tools and the tricks and the things that we've learned with whether it's design, user experience, creative advertising. We want to impart on them what we've learned, but we also want to realize that the world is changing and it's changing fast. And we're not here to tell them, here's the method, here's the formula, here's how it works. We're really here to let them know that the way it's going to work is for them to channel what's inside of them in order to bring that to the industry.
I was curious, Parisa, is there a change on the design side of the program, or is that kind of staying consistent?
Actually, no, it has changed a lot because we review the curriculum. Actually, we reviewed that every 3 years in the past, but maybe now, considering the changes in industry, maybe we should review the curriculum every year. But we actually did it last year, so our curriculum is very updated. And we always just put together a team, a committee that they are all teaching for us, and also some people out of the program to just review our curriculum to see if they are really make sense with that changes in the industry, especially on user experience design, the tech system and UI, UX, and also branding design. And we also intentionally want to keep this program small and focus on finding the right fit that they feel good and productive about our program, because we really don't want to increase just numbers, because we really value the money of the students, their energy, their time. Higher education is very expensive. I understand that.
Yep.
We really don't want to waste their money and their time.
Yeah, I would say that's a great point. We do want to keep this small, and there are a lot of other programs out there, and each one has great merits and is a great fit for different kinds of students. Ours is a 1-year master's program, which means it's highly accelerated, highly intense. We have 39 credits, just like most other master's programs, if not maybe a little bit more than other programs, which means our students are taking a lot of classes all at the same time, and the speed is part of the curriculum, but also it's pretty intense, and it's not for everyone, but for the right student and the right fit, it can, again, do what my master's did for me, which was change the trajectory of my career.
I was just going to ask, what does this look like? I'm a student, I show up on day one. What is the journey? Am I kind of on rails and I'm just, you tell me what I got to do, I just got to execute? Or is there a little bit more exploration at that initial phase and then a narrowing? Like, how are you thinking about that student journey for that 1 year?
That's a great question, actually, because the origin of our program coming from the school in Stanford. So our applicants, they don't need to have a related degree on their undergrad. For example, having design background or advertising background, as we believe design and creative disciplines, they are team-based career where collaboration is the key for that. However, their statement, their portfolio that they submit for our program should showcase a strong passion for creativity and design, and also showing that they have done some, because I know many business school students and also marketing, computer science students, they have minor in design or advertising or marketing, that they can be a really good fit for our program, because they don't bring just their creative side on the table. They also can bring the business perspective, and also the for my track, user experience, having a creative technology students or a computer science can be a really valuable things.
Yeah, and to add to that, maybe a little bit of some of the structure, and our 3 semesters are outlined on our website. But essentially, semester 1, day 1, you're introduced to a lot of the fundamentals. Right, to Parisa's point, not everybody's coming from the same place. Not everybody has had a background in advertising or design. So we introduce them to the fundamentals of branding, the fundamentals of design, the fundamentals of copywriting and writing, and conceptual thinking. And then they build on that from there. You know, they're often running those folks who do come in with some background in those fundamental classes. They're still able to self-guide, create design work in the design classes, create work in the conceptual classes. And then when they get into semesters 2 and 3, it's all about making every day, making all day, sharing the work, critiquing each other, because the skills that they're going to come out of here with are skills of collaboration, of communication, of creativity. These are the things that they're only going to learn by doing. So they're doing all the time from the very beginning. But there is that first semester of letting them get their feet on the ground, letting them understand all the fundamentals, and then taking them through the rest. And I mean, Parisa can talk to this even better than I can, but the instructors that we hire and that we put in these classes are experts in their field, and also are really attuned to these different students' needs, and they can kind of feel where the class is and where individuals in the classes are. So they can give more guidance to the ones who are new. They can let the ones who maybe have a bit more experience kind of go off on their own and give them the light touch that they need.
Jeff, you had shared a link to an article in Ad Age from today. Just for context, we're recording this in early November, that gave a really good overview of the program. And there was one segment in particular that I was really struck by. It was a quote from Chuck Porter, the legendary co-founder of Crispin Porter Blogeski. So quoting that piece, Chuck Porter, co-founder and chairman of CPB, said what was most appealing to him about the University of Colorado's program, and why he has since agreed to be a board member, is the program's length. Master's programs don't need to be 2 years, he said. That's just custom and tradition. Mm-hmm. CU Boulder's program is much more designed to create work rather than listen to lectures, Porter said. Gillette's vision for this is much more attuned to what's going to be useful when you get into the real world, unquote. And, so first, as Ad Age notes, Chuck Porter's on the board for your program, which I think is amazing. The caliber of people you've been able to attract to your board is phenomenal. And we can talk more about that in just a minute. But you also touched on that point of the duration of your program. Porter really emphasizes here the fact that it's 1 year versus 2, as well as your focus on applied learning, seem to be things that really do set the program apart. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think the length of the program is one of the biggest things that makes us different. It's from my knowledge, there aren't that many 1-year masters in the country, but there are even fewer when you talk about design and creative advertising. That focus being in 1 year is very unique, and it's interesting that it's unique because our businesses go fast, like just by nature. It's a fast-moving business, and you're constantly spinning a lot of plates. You're constantly working to the next deadline. And one of the biggest things, as we were talking to professionals when we were designing this program, is that the number one reason they say they aren't hiring juniors is because it slows them down. So junior talent causes them to have to take their eye off of the pitch, off of the deadline, off of whatever it is they're doing to go and train and mentor these young people. They know they need them. They know they need that fresh perspective, but they're moving so fast that if those young junior talents can't keep up, they just don't even bother bringing them into the building. And that's the one thing I think we in the education world absolutely have to fix. We have to get the students ready to literally hit the ground running alongside this moving train. And the only way I think we can do that is by making them move as fast as the industry. Oh, sorry. One other thing I should say, like that quote, Chuck is amazing. He and the whole board that we're putting together are great. I think he mentions Gillette's vision, and I would say that it's Gillette's and Parisa's vision, along with a lot of the other folks that we've been working with to build this thing. So I do not want to take full credit for that at all.
Is it correct that everyone on your faculty is still in the industry as well?
Yes.
Definitely. I can talk about that because the program started in, I think, in the Crispy and Porter Bogovsky as a kind of professional, like, even in that time, it was not certificate. It was like a program for professionals that they wanted to jump into the digital design. So after that, when the CU owned the program and developed the program as a degree, so it was already carries the same nature that the program had before. So all of our teachers coming from industry, from tech companies, local agencies, couple of like a startup in Boulder, Denver. So we intentionally want to keep the program professionals, because these students like coming to our program to develop a portfolio to get a job after that. And I also bring another quote from a creative person, Aaron Poe, that I saw his presentation in brand new conference that I was last week in Pittsburgh. He said, what I am telling you today, it doesn't work tomorrow, maybe,
Right,
I mean,
right.
everything is so fast. And because of that, these faculty, they update themselves every day in their job, in their challenges that they have, so they can bring like fresh perspective, the recent technology, the recent mentorship to offer to our students. Also, our alumni are a great asset for us, because they continue working with our students, hiring our students. We have a Slack channel for all of our BDW alumni and also the recent graduates of the program, that they all work together to hire some of the new graduates or facilitate an internship for them. So it's a great community that we have at our studio.
And I would just add to that in addition to finding instructors and adjuncts who are from the professional world, who have many, many years of experience doing this, we also do vet them for how much they do care about the educational system and the educational process. And a lot of them have masters the way that Parisa and I do, right? I think that's another thing that maybe distinguishes us from a lot of portfolio schools. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but often they tap somebody in the industry who's available and who can teach these classes. And what we look for is a very stringent requirement, masters if at all possible. But we also, if we can't find somebody with a master's degree, we vet them to make sure that they have that academic spirit. Because at the end of the day, we're a university. We're attached to university. We care very much about academic rigor and the liberal arts education side of things alongside of the professional skills.
Something that Joachim and I have talked about in the past is actually the extent to which there is a aspect of academia these days where professors really don't have much time for their students, that are so much more focused on research. So it's great to hear that that's a big point of emphasis.
Ooh, we should come back and have that conversation. I'm sure Parisa and I would love to talk about that.
I think you could all geek out. Yeah, on that with Joachim as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, everybody's so busy these days, right? I mean, it's we're all spinning 1,000 plates, and I know I'm guilty of it. There are some times when I could have spent more time with students after class, but I have to rush to a meeting, have to rush to whatever it is that we're doing. But I think at the end of the day, most of the people, at least at CU that I've run into in our department and on this team, put the students first and put the education that we're here to provide as the number one priority.
I guess the class size, now it all makes sense. Your statement, Parisa, at the beginning of small class sizes, it's not about gigantic lecture rooms. All of this is only possible because you're restricting yourself in that way and then giving the students that coverage that they need. And that's why you can then ask them to push themselves, because they're all in the room together and it's a manageable group and you can give them the time.
100%.
Yes, That's exactly what we want to have. This program is very student-driven program. And we even, our studio that they are off campus. They are in downtown Boulder, and we wanted to give the kind of like real world experience to our students. And these two studios are available from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. for our students. Even during weekend, they can meet their clients, their faculties, or their peers to work together. And they honestly, when they leave the program, most of them, they say that, oh, we got a job in this agency or like at Uber or like Google. And working in these companies are easier than working with the studios at CU, because we intentionally wanted to make students comfortable by being uncomfortable, to experience like challenges working together, sometimes taking the leadership role, another time taking like art directorship or like designer or even UX researcher. You know, each time they will have the opportunity to work with different team on a different role, which is great. We also value diversity in our program a lot. Our learners coming from various parts of the US and also around the world, representing different cultures, different age even, that they can work with each other and like take this program as an opportunity, as a playground for their future.
I think that's a great segue because, we've talked about the what and the why of the program, and I feel like maybe now's a good opportunity to talk about the who in terms of on the student side of things. Because I was curious, what kinds of students did you have in mind as you developed the program? Or maybe another way of thinking about it is, who do you think could uniquely benefit from enrollment in the brand studios?
I think we're open, right? I think we're open to anyone who wants to continue their education and creativity. I think we see a lot right now of either folks who've been out of the undergraduate degree for a number of years, maybe 1 to 2, have had some work experience and then have come back. We've had some folks come straight from undergraduate into this program. And I think we anticipate both of those things. And in addition to that, maybe a smaller minority are folks who are mid-career who have decided that they want to completely change careers. They've maybe gone to a place where they feel like they've gone far enough, or maybe they've just decided that what they want is something completely different out of their career. So sometimes we'll get people with 10 years of experience who come back and want to re-engage in academia. So we don't necessarily want to put any kind of controls or rules around it, but maybe that gives you sort of a sense of at least the 3 main kinds of students we see.
Also, sometimes we have some students that they have a business already and they want to develop that in an upper level, in another level, or they want to carry their own business in the future. They want to have work on their startup. They definitely most of the time fail on first startup, maybe sometimes on the next, the second startup. But we had some examples that they are business owner, entrepreneurs, and they just brought whatever they learned from our program to their real life. Also, this program, we always recommend not having a full-time job when they come to this program, because it's really intense and they feel a lot of stress, as I mentioned before. And also, sometimes we have athlete students that they have a very amazing background in creative field. They can come to our program, but again, it's not possible to have a full-time job or full-time athletic job to come to this program.
Yeah, that goes back to that speed and the intensity of the program. Yeah,
Right.
it wouldn't suit the students well. They wouldn't be set up for success if they
Right.
also felt they could have a full-time job. Even a part-time job is kind of pushing that, to be honest. If they could dedicate themselves for this one full year, I think that sets them up for success the best. And back to Parisa's note on entrepreneurialism, like that is a big part of the program. It's a big part of how it started as Boulder Digital Works. It's a big part of how it's evolved. And I think it's really kind of the DNA of Boulder sort of seeping into what it is. And, you know, there's a ton of startups here. There's a constant stream of entrepreneurs. We're making bridges with the entrepreneurial team at CU, which also has launched a really large number of startups. So that's a big part of this. You know, not everybody who graduates this program will become a UX designer or a brand designer or a copywriter or art director. You know, a lot of them will just be taking this skill set and launching their next new thing, or becoming an entrepreneur in whatever brand or company they find themselves, and reinventing themselves, which is honestly probably the key skill you need to learn right now when we're moving into a moment in time where nobody really knows what's going to happen, right, in the next 5 years. But if you can be an entrepreneur, if you can be somebody who can adapt and solve problems creatively, I think you're going to be ahead of almost everyone else.
Parisa, you had also mentioned a minute ago diversity, and I was excited to see that in that AdAge piece I referenced. They quoted another member of your board, Jason Pierce, the CEO and co-founder of Ink Management. And I'll just reference that article once again here. So, quote, "What appealed to Pierce about the new ad program at the University of Colorado is its effort to recruit and support diverse talent. He said it will look to recruit from underrepresented communities in cities such as Detroit and Baltimore, where this untapped talent lives. The program will also set graduates up with mentors working in the industry who will give them critical guidance as they enter the workforce," unquote. So that seemed really, I was excited to see that basically. I mean, it feels like there's a big need there in terms of diversity in the industry, but then also this idea that the relationship doesn't end on graduation day, it seems like, right? That you're going to connect folks with mentors and they'll stick with you kind of beyond that last day of classes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I learned a lot when I started my job at this program. You know, I think I grow at the same time that I helped other students to grow. I feel always I keep myself as a student also because I really appreciate the higher education, you know, and maybe I can go back to your first question, how I became like the full-time educator. In 2017, when I moved to US, I had like more time to read and especially like transfer all of my knowledge to English, you know, just find the correct term for each thing that I knew. So I read a book, I'm Malala, you know, and I found out how important is like educate people. You know, education sometimes feels very mundane and just like part of our everyday life. But like many people, they don't have access to education, even on basic education. And when people go through that journey, like different doors will be open in front of them. And later, when I became the director of this program, I should equip myself with the leadership role. And I read another book, Decolonizing Design, from Dori Tunstall, that she was the, I think, OCAD's head of the design. So in this book, she's talking about challenging the dominant Western way of thinking about design. And it basically says that the traditional design has often ignored or harmed non-Western cultures. And the book offers like practical way and different pathway to make design more inclusive of all like people's culture practices and make some opportunities for people that they were like minors in most of their life. So because of that, we really want to keep the faculty, the program, the community very diverse, like for this program specifically.
Yeah, and I think Parisa mentioned this before, but the alumni network of the program is a big key part of that, right? The students who come in and have been a part of this want to mentor the next generation, so that mentorship program kind of takes care of itself, although I think we'll put a lot of effort into making sure people are connected with the right sort of mental twin. Sorry, my dog is just
No worries.
and suddenly distracting me.
No worries.
Jeff, it shows that we are real. It's not by AI.
I was going to say,
exactly.
We're not editing that out. We're not going to edit that out. That has to stay in.
Sure. Just crazy dog coming in, being our crazy self. Where was I? Mentorship. Yeah. I think that is going to be a key part of, and has been a key part of the program. And, we luckily, because we're part of a university, have the luxury to not have to operate like a business, right? We're not here to take on as many students as we can, to make as much money as we can. We're here to educate in our own way, in the best way we know how. And part of that is not only bringing in diverse sets of thinkers to work together so that they make each other better, but it's to not just sort of let them leave and say good luck to you, right? It's to be there with them and to help connect them to folks that can steer their career, not just in the year or two after, but hopefully throughout.
My impression is that it's a very human program.
Yes.
It's not dry sitting in classrooms, kind of like Chuck Porter was saying. It sounds very human.
And it's one of the reasons why we're always in person. There are no online versions of the program. It's why we are in that studio that's off campus in downtown Boulder, so that we can establish our own little community that feels like its own little agency or design from.
And this program is just a problem-solving based program, and students will have a lot of real case study also from our faculty or from the community business owner of Boulder, that they come to our program with a challenge, with a kind of problem. Sometimes that problem is digital, or they can use their digital aspects, or that problem can be solved physically. Students work with them in different teams to find some possibilities as a solution, And as Jeff mentioned, this program is very, we try to bring students to the center. So sometimes they come to us with a sometimes problem with another students or with faculty or with the
it's
program.
It's a very human program.
Yes, and we say, okay, this is your challenge now. What is your solution? How we can fix it together, because it can happen in the future with your coworker in agency or in...
all the time.
Yes.
That's great. That is so much part of what you're learning, right? Are those relationships?
It's the soft skills, and we talk about that a little bit in the article. It's really the thing that these students need to learn now more than ever. Partly because these are students who've come through the pandemic and have had part of that education robbed of them along the way. Part of it is because we're going into a new age of AI and tech tools. And, I think what makes them human is going to be what makes them valuable. And we're here to kind of help draw a lot of that out of them, right? The human soft skills of collaborating, of learning how to deal with other humans, of speaking their mind and being respectful of others' point of view. And, in addition to all the soft skills that go into the everyday professional world, listening, communicating, all of those. So it is. I love how you put that, Ernest. It is a very human program.
That's awesome. Actually, so both of you have talked about the challenges related to the pace of change these days. And Jeff, you just mentioned AI, and Clearly that's a big topic on lots of people's minds these days is generative AI. And so I was really impressed to see that you have Michael Tabtabai. Is that
Tabtabai, yeah.
Tabtabai, OpenAI's VP of Global Creative, also on the board for your program. So to be able to tap into that expertise seems phenomenal. But, I've heard a lot of young people express concerns, related to generative AI, about appropriation of their work, about devaluation of their work, or even just like the existential threat to the future availability of any design or advertising work due to these new tools. I mean, what do you think about those sorts of things? Do you think these concerns are warranted?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we're all feeling, anxious about how does this pan out in the end, right? And I think, I talked to one of the creative directors at Google a while back when we were looking at designing this program, and I'm like, what do you think? Is this going to be valuable for students in the future? Because he does a lot of work with Gemini and their AI tools, and he's like, if there was one thing I was going to bet on in the future, it would be creativity. He's like, as great as these tools are, I think you still need to be there to ask the questions. You still need to have a curious mind. You still need to creatively know how to problem solve. And these tools actually can help benefit creative thinkers, maybe most of all, because it'll allow you to explore those creative thinking and those creative ideas and chase them down more fully than you would have been able to before, and a lot more of them. So I think it's not really an either or, hopefully it's an and, and I think we talked about having an AI class in our curriculum that's just specific to the tools, and we thought, well, no, it's going to be woven throughout. It's going to be something that these students take from day one in the first class and use throughout all of their classes, and they need to learn how to become a true collaborator with AI, and it needs to be, there by their side, and they need to treat it like a partner. And I think the people who can do that and can get the most out of AI and also can draw the most out of their own human selves are going to find that perfect balance of how we can help each other.
And it also seems to connect to the point you made earlier, Parisa, about encouraging people from outside of, say, traditional design backgrounds. Maybe these new tools will enable folks to tap into their creative abilities, even though maybe they didn't necessarily have a design background.
Sure. I mean, we should try everything ourselves, we should play, experiment, iterate, fail, and learn from our failure, And sometimes I learn a lot from my students. I should confess that, because they are like the new generation, they're faster than us, but we try to bring like experience and also like facilitate a great space for them to experiment, So we also always try to make it better next time that we try new things, And I mean, absolutely, it's very vague for all of us that how will be happen, what will be happen in the future, not just for the new generation that they feel a lot of stress in that area, also for us as a millennial or like, their parents, But hasn't the design world always been full of ambiguity? I think human always had different kind of challenge, from like hunter era to agricultural to urbanism, I mean, every time human has a challenge, and design is just creating a stuff for something that there is no exist, So we are always like play as a futurist, in the creative area, in the like innovation phase. And I don't think that we should be afraid of that. We should just make ourselves equipped and armed with learning that as soon as possible. Because as legendary John Maeda, computer science and educator, says always that embrace AI as a co-pilot and leverage it to focus on, uniquely human tasks, because at the end, we are running that tools. And it should be a tool. So we should not be the tool for AI.
That's actually reminds me of something Cory Doctorow said, who's a tech activist and writer. He talks about centaur, the half human, half horse. And it's kind of like the human torso on horse body. So you get the human control of this very powerful machinery of the horse body. But what seems to be the trend in most places that are not using AI in sensible ways is the reverse centaur, where they let the AI do everything, and then a human being has to come in after the fact and unpick the mess, usually in code, and they have to go like, no, that's not the right way. So you're saying the same thing, Parisa, like no reverse centaurs. We want centaurs. We want the augmentation in the right direction, right? It's a tool that can help you. So, yeah.
Yes. And actually, as a designer and sometimes as an activist, as people says about me, I try to bring those thoughts to my classes. If AI can't help any of us on this planet access fair resources to live better, healthier, safer, without war, if it doesn't work, don't use that. Use it for good things. And it should not be limited to just a few people on the planet to develop the things that they are not good for humanity and also for other creatures in this world. I'm learning a lot because I developed a course 3 years ago that it was a brand design for sustainable future. So I'm learning a lot how we can be a good human to use this tool to do better things.
Create an image of that reverse centaur, because I want to see what that looks like.
Well, okay, so thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to give us as last words that are either words of total inspiration or very focused around the program? We're leaving it up to you to have the last word on this.
The one thing that comes to mind for me is, Ernest, you mentioned, what is the what and the why of the program? And I think we touched on both, maybe more the what than the why, because I think, at least for me, one of the whys is that the industry really needs fresh thinking right now, right? Especially with all the AI tools and especially with everybody who has access to the exact same tools, we're starting to see the exact same thing and the same answers, almost in that peanut butter effect, just kind of smeared across the toast. And I think one of the things that we hope for with this program is to find really interesting, unique thinkers, set them up for success, train them up. So not only can they succeed in this business, but they can go and lead it and offer their fresh, unique points of view so that this thing doesn't get stale. Because I think we all think it easily can. And without those weirdos out there running around doing their weird thing, it's boring.
And that seems to connect back to the point you made earlier, Parisa, as well, about diversity. You need these diverse viewpoints. And just like you were talking about in the context of AI, these new tools need to be accessible to these folks as well.
Oh, for sure. I think sometimes we will see a lot of common things, the same visual, identity, brand identity, because everybody is using AI, or the same typefaces that they are trained, So the new generation, they need to make them more different from other people. Because of that, we say weirdos welcome, because sometimes our relatives or families, they think that we are weird. So we are welcoming all these creative people. But that differentiation should be genuine. It can't be happen overnight. It's all part of the human experience over the time, and we aim to provide a space for genuine differentiation, not just superficial, things. It's sometimes some new cities or town, they want to create downtown, I don't think the new downtown makes sense for anyone, because we need that history. We need people. We need community. We need like activities, all of these stuff can make genuine differentiation.
Well, I think that all sounds so fantastic. I kind of wish that I could sign up for the program myself. But on that, where should people go if they want to learn more about the program or if they want to apply?
It's a great question. It's the URL is colorado.edu/the Brand Studios. Or if somebody just wants to Google the Brand Studios, we should be the one that pops up. And yeah, all of the information is on there. In fact, Parisa and our personal emails are on there, so they can contact the directors directly and we can answer any questions they have. It's another benefit of keeping this small is that we can be a personal connection for them.
And do you guys have any other online presences that you'd want to direct people to learn more about you personally, like other spots that you're active on online?
Yes, they can find me on my Instagram, LinkedIn, with my name, Parisa.Tashakori. And yeah, we are very approachable. We try to just connect with, we are not that kind of people that they never answer their email. No, we value students, we value our learners, and sometimes try to even meet them through Zoom to see if they are good applicant for us or we are good program for them, because again, we don't want to waste energy and money of the people. We just want to bring the people with purpose and also with some intention for change something on their society and the community.
Exactly. It's about fit, at the end of the day. So that's why we try to make ourselves available and why we've spent a lot of time trying to put as much on this website as possible so they can get a sense of who we are. And we'd love anybody who's interested to apply and we'll get a sense of who they are.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much once again, Parisa and Jeff, for joining us today. But don't leave just yet because Parisa and Jeff are going to join us for our recommendation segment. Just for background on this, for Parisa and Jeff, every episode, Joachim and I end with a recommendation. Initially, we had imagined this as an opportunity to highlight a product that we were particularly excited about or particularly disappointed by as well. But in practice, we've ended up using this mostly as an opportunity to highlight really anything that's lit a spark in us, whether it's books, films, music, and occasionally products. So with that context, how about we start with you, Parisa? Is there a product, service, piece of media, design that you'd like to praise or pan for our listeners?
Sure. I can talk a little about because the core of our program is based on collaboration. And not just the program, also the industry, the creative field is based on collaboration. So the book that I want to introduce you is not a design book even. It's a book by a choreographer, American dancer and choreographer, Twyla Tharp. And the book is Collaborative Habit. And she talks about how collaboration should be a habit in our daily life, as it is the recognition that there is more life, opportunities, knowledge, and dangers than we can handle alone. But when we are together, we can carry more things, be more strong, powerful, and do bigger things.
That definitely connects to lots of things we talked about as well.
Yes, for sure.
Jeff, do you have one, or we could let Joachim go?
Yeah, no, I can scare one up. I didn't do my homework, so I don't have anything super deep for you. There are a couple books that are on my nightstand, and they're pretty silly. One is The Art of Whittling. So during the pandemic, I really got into whittling. In fact, I think I have some knives and wood here on my table. It is, I think, for a creative mind, especially one who likes to fidget a lot, it's been fantastic to be able to be on these kind of Zooms and to be able to have something going in the background. And I actually have been able to carve my son a complete chess set, which shows you how often I'm on these Zoom calls, or at least I used to be. So that's interesting, and not something I ever imagined I would take up. But that's what a pandemic does, right?
Yeah.
It introduces you to brand new things. The other thing I will say is maybe slightly more serious. I'm late to this book, but Atomic Habits, I just started reading, and I do think it's fantastic. It's a small, simple concept, but I think we would all be better off if we do think not just about the goals we want to achieve, but the life we want to live, and on a day-to-day basis, really just live that, and the goals kind of happen along the way, right? The achievements. So yeah,
I love the unplanned. You both picked books related to habits. You guys are on the same wavelength.
Always.
How about you, Joachim? Do you have a recommendation today?
So, because of last time, and you did it again this time, Ernest, I'm calling you out. You said we don't make product recommendations very often. So I've been working hard to figure out product recommendations. But I have two that are music related. The first one is something I bought. It was a totally unnecessary purchase. But it's a little tabletop guitar amplifier by Boss called the Katana Air. It's... I don't know how to describe it. It's like a little practice amp with Bluetooth connectivity and a little wireless transmitter. So you can just grab the transmitter, plug it into your guitar, and walk around the house, which is what I do. And I annoy my wife, and I annoy my children this way. But the other thing that's been really interesting as a practicing tool is that you can sync up your phone via Bluetooth, and then you can pipe music in through the same speaker and then mix your guitar on top of it. So you know, and YouTube is full of famous songs with the guitar parts taken out, or just backing tracks with no guitar. So it's kind of different to hear your guitar playing and the backing track coming from the same speaker. You feel a little bit more like you're with the band. So I was kind of on the fence of whether I wanted to keep this device, but I think I will. So it is a guitar amplifier with all the usual stuff. It's by Boss. So if you know anything about musical instruments, Boss have been making some of the best guitar pedals and equipment forever. And yeah, I mean, the specs are this would only be of interest to guitarists, but there's plenty of amp simulators. You can control it with your phone. It's completely solid state, so it doesn't have any analog pieces of equipment there, which to me was always a no-no, but for this, it sounds really good. It sounds very convincing. So that was my first one. Very fun product. And then the other thing was, I was just browsing my favorite blog called Create Digital Music, and they feature hardware and software to make electronic music and so on, but they also have been in recent months really trying to bring in way more diverse sounds from other countries and music coming from other countries. So actually, when Parisa, you were talking about diversity and all these things, I was thinking, yeah, it is. Everything feels very homogeneous now to us because we're out in the West, but there's so much stuff out there. So a couple of weeks ago, this blog CDM highlighted Swag Lee, who just released a new kind of hip hop record called Habibi Loops. He's based out of Egypt. So I used to live in Egypt growing up. And so the loops and things that he's drawing from are the same sounds I would hear when I would be driving around or walking around, or it's just this background sound. And he's just mixed it with these great hip hop beats. So it's bang up to date, and it's a beautiful hybrid of everything, which is to me way more interesting than, it's take the bits that you like and create your own sound from that. So yeah, I will add the link to that. It is not streamable on Spotify. You can only buy it on Bandcamp, which was also made me feel good because it was very much direct artist support and all those things. So yeah, Habibi Loops, it's actually volume 2. He's done this before by Swag Lee, but he has another name. I think it's, I forgot his other name that he uses for this project, but yeah, that's another recommendation.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to listen. I actually, unfortunately, I do have a non-product. I have a book as well.
Yes, I'm getting my ratio up. I just got to get my ratio up. I just got to beat you, Ernest. That's it.
My apologies. And it's something that's probably not going to be new to many people, but it's the book Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I actually hadn't heard of it. I only learned of it when I saw the trailer for the upcoming movie version of it. The film is directed by Chloe Zhao, stars Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal, and it's going to be hitting theaters in the U.S. at the end of this month, November 27th. And it looked really striking to me, the trailer, and I mentioned it to my sister, and she said, "Oh, you have to read the book." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know it was a book." And so I did read it, and it was incredible. It was it just paints such a rich picture of life. So just to give you a very, very, very loose overview, it's a work of speculative historical fiction. It is loosely based on the life of William Shakespeare and his wife, Anne or Agnes, depending on which history you read, and their kids, one of whom was named Hamnet. And it's noted at the very beginning, it's like a 2-sentence prologue of the book, that at the time, late 1500s, early 1600s, apparently the names Hamnet and Hamlet were equivalent. It's kind of like John and Jack. So the child was named Hamnet, and then it imagines the events that led to Shakespeare writing Hamlet. So it's fictionalized, but based on these real figures. You know, obviously Shakespeare was a real figure, his wife and his family as well. And I just found it to be deeply moving. A lot of people I've seen describe it as being very sad, and there's certainly sadness in it, but I definitely didn't come away feeling sad after having read it. I just felt really like my soul was filled up. So I just definitely wanted to recommend that. And I would suggest that I think it would probably be worth reading the book before seeing the film as well. You have still a few weeks to go. The good thing is I heard that the film is quite different from the book, which I think is great. You know, make the most of each medium. So I don't think you're going to feel super spoiled, but based on how rich the book is, I feel like you might get more if you were to read the book first. And then if you've already read Hamlet and you're thinking, oh, what can I read next? I just wanted to connect it back to the book Lavinia by Ursula K. Le Guin that I recommended in our very first episode. Both are works of speculative historical fiction built around vital works of literature. In the case of Lavinia, Le Guin built this world around Virgil's Aeneid. And then in the case of Hamnet, O'Farrell builds this world around Hamlet. And I came away from both books feeling very similar things. So I think if you liked Hamnet, you'll really enjoy Lavinia and vice versa. And last thing here, the reason I wanted to mention Lavinia and Le Guin is that there's an exhibit on Ursula K. Le Guin opening at Oregon Contemporary in Portland. It actually just opened on Halloween, and it's going to be running through February 8th of next year. So I just wanted to reference that. It's called A Larger Reality, Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's curated by her son, Theo Downs Le Guin. And it sounds like it's going to be really interesting. Lots of different types of media with contributions from other artists as well. So we'll include a link to that in the show notes too. So that's my recommendation for this week.
Ernest, I think no need for apologize for suggesting sad or dark movie or books, because most of the masterpieces they have a like dark or sad ending.
Oh yeah, right. Hamlet, right? Being a great example.
Hamlet exactly wasn't a comedy.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think that does it for us. Parisa and Jeff, thank you so much once again for joining us on Learn, Make, Learn and helping our listeners understand how they can put their weird to work.
Thank you.
This was so fun. And hopefully we were weird enough for you.
Yeah, same for us. Hopefully we weren't too bored for you guys.
No, those were great recommendations. I love it.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us here at Learn, Make, Learn. And as always, we want to hear from you. Do you have thoughts on anything we discussed or recommended today? Or maybe there's a product or service you think we should talk about. Whether it's a request, a question, or an observation, please do share your thoughts with us at learnmakelearn@gmail.com or on Threads at LearnMakeLearnShow, all one word. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll join us for the next Learn, Make, Learn.
Bye.